Hello my friends, Chad here on a beautiful Sunday morning at the lake, hanging out with our little golden doodle Maya, and we're just walking around. So I had something really exciting to discuss with you today. But before I get started, I would love to hear from you guys. If you wouldn't mind checking in, just telling me how you're doing, maybe where you're from, give me a like, a little emoji, a share, whatever. I'm super grateful for that because that helps us spread our message about real whole food and health and helping people get back to their true nature. So I wanted to talk about something that I see coming up a lot lately, which is the source of a lot of confusion when it comes to how we should eat. So there's kind of like two extreme camps out there right now. You have this kind of vegetarian vegan camp that is out there saying that fat is the enemy, animal-based protein will give you diabetes and heart disease, and you should eat that way. And then on the other end, you have kind of this ketogenic camp, sometimes the paleo camp even, that is talking about how vegans are wrong and vegetarians are wrong and fat is your friend and animal-based protein is needed for everybody, and those are complete proteins, and that's the way that you should eat. And I'm seeing, there's documentaries about this. It's so confusing because there's research backing up both sides with what appears to be very well done peer-reviewed studies, and you'll have testimonials from both sides. You'll have people who are curing themselves from heart disease and cancer and diabetes eating both ways. The evidence is there for both sides. So what's happening is that people are seeing all this and they're getting very confused to the point where they take no action. They end up staying on the couch, drinking sodas, eating processed and refined foods, and taking medications, and history keeps repeating itself. And in very much the same way that we get about religion, when we think that there's one way that everybody should be, and all other ways are wrong, we're sort of doing that with food. Because people are having an experience, they're coming from a context of eating a standard American diet, they're moving towards either a vegetarian way of eating or a ketogenic way of eating, and they're eating whole real food and they're having good results, and then they're preaching to the world that this is the way it should be. And the truth of the matter is, there is no one-size-fits-all diet. When it comes to nutrition, it's very individualized, and it's based on our own context, our genetics, the time of year, our goals. To think that there's one size fits all is a very dangerous thing, and to preach that is a very dangerous thing. There's 7 billion people on the planet. The idea that we should all eat the same, think the same, move the same, believe this, all that, it's very dangerous. It's part of the problem of why we're here in the first place. So one of the best examples and testimonies I've ever come across that really gives the example that there is no one-size-fits-all diet is from Weston A. Price. So when I first found out about Weston A. Price, it blew my world. Weston A. Price was a dentist in the 20s and 30s, and that was right around the time of the Industrial Revolution. And during that time, we started to process white flour and white sugar and make that available for everybody, but Weston Price started to notice that his patients were having a lot of cavities, a lot of problems with their health, and he was curious about that. And he had a nephew in the National Geographic who would travel all around the world, and he came back and told his uncle, look, I'm coming across these indigenous people who are virtually free of chronic diseases that we're experiencing here in America. So this really got Weston Price curious. So he dropped his dental practice, and he spent the rest of his life traveling all around the world studying these indigenous people, and he was comparing their health to what they ate, which was really interesting because during that time, like I mentioned, there was a transition, and he was able to observe people living kind of in the same area who were eating indigenous foods, whole real foods, and compare the people with the same genetic profile down the road who were eating that industrialized food, white flour, white sugar. And he observed over, I think, 16 or 17 different indigenous cultures all around the earth, right? What he found was when people were eating their native diet, whole real food, free of processed sugar, white flour, white sugar, free of these toxic fats, he found they not only had little to no evidence of dental cavities or mouth deformations, he found they had excellent fertility. He found little to no traces of tuberculosis, which was the biggest disease at that time. He found little to no traces of heart disease or cancer or diabetes or Alzheimer's. He found people living into the ages over 100, walking without walkers, you know. So, but again, he observed people with the same genetic profile down the road who were eating white flour, white sugar, and had all those problems: fertility problems, dental problems, heart disease, cancer. All of those issues started popping up. I bring this up because when he studied those indigenous cultures all around the world, he found they did not all eat the same thing. It all very greatly depended on what foods were available in their environment. So for instance, he noticed that in general, cultures that lived closer to the equator ate much more fruit and carbohydrates and more vegetables and much less fat and animal-based protein. And on the other end of the spectrum, you know, he observed the Eskimos, who ate absolutely no vegetables and carbohydrates and all whale fat, and, you know, meat and blubber. But they too had no traces of heart disease, no cancer, no diabetes, no Alzheimer's. So the thing is, while we're having these discussions on vegetarianism, paleo, keto, all these discussions, we have to keep in mind that the most important thing that we focus on is whole real food. Whole real food. And we should not diversify our efforts on that. You know, that should be the main focus. That's the thing that's good for everybody, is whole real food. We have to keep in mind who the enemy is here. The enemy is this industrialized corporate food industry that has been feeding us this white flour, white sugar, toxic fats, conventional grains, conventional dairy, treating animals harmfully. We have to focus on real whole foods, organic foods, local foods, our farmers markets. We have to support places that are growing and treating animals in ethical ways and giving them the food that they're designed to eat. And when we do that, we start aligning the whole system with nature. We cast a vote every time we spend $1 on what we eat. If you're paying money on Coca-Cola and McDonald's, you are also paying money for the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry, and we will keep getting more of that. If you contribute to your own health and make it an investment, it will pay off for you and everybody else, this whole world, this whole nature, all of it. You change the earth when you do that, because you cast a vote for more of that system. You change the market, and it's up to you. And the things I hear people say is, I don't have enough time to eat healthy. I don't have the money to eat healthy. It's all hard. Well, stop. Let me just tell you, okay? I spent 10, 12 years, I don't know how long, in the health profession, right? When you say it's hard, you need to really consider what you're saying there. Heart disease is hard. Diabetes is hard. Morbid obesity is hard. Cancer is hard. Those things are hard. Prepping your meals and eating whole real food and shopping and cleaning out your pantry and getting rid of toxic fats and all that crap is not hard. It's a decision. It's an intention that you're making in your life. Your health is your responsibility. The time to stop being a victim and take responsibility is now. Your doctor is not responsible for your health. Your husband is not responsible. Your partners are not responsible for your health. These lies that you're being told, that everything runs in your family, is an illusion. Your family has been sitting around the same dinner table, eating the same foods, suffering the same consequences because of a system that has been feeding us crap. Right? So I'm just telling you the straight up truth here. Because the availability, the opportunity, the invitation for you to eat whole real foods and change your life is available right now. Right? It's a decision, and it's called your next meal. Your next meal could be real whole foods instead of something that they made for you and processed for you. And the cycle keeps repeating itself. You keep eating fake food, you get fake health, you keep taking these pills treating symptoms, and we have a healthcare crisis. So don't become that. Become something better. Become who you really are. Eat the way you're designed to eat. You know, as far as the macronutrients or ratio, that is the focus. So that's what Brenda and I stand for. Me, Brenda, Andy, our whole team, we stand for transformation. That's what we dedicate our entire life to, is helping people make this transition to whole real food, setting intentions on what they want to create in their life, and doing that. We provide community to do that. We provide meal plans and guides, whatever it is you need, and we're here with you every step along the way as we transform society. So I put a link up there to our 30-day challenge. I invite you to take a look at that. I invite you to listen to it, read my wife's story, join us, join our tribe, and just start taking action. Stop pretending, stop being a victim, and start being who you really are, which is beautiful. Okay, my friends, I'm going to go walk that little golden doodle back there, hang out with Brenda by this beautiful lake, and have an awesome Sunday. I hope you do the same. Much love.